There we go. Hello. Hey, how's it going? Hello, everyone. My apologies. I was a few minutes late. Bad me, bad me. Hello, 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 everyone. Hi. Hey, Michelle. How are you? Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Hello, good evening. Happy Sunday to you as well. Thank you. Hello. Hey, Yolanda. Hey, Nikki. Do you feel better? I absolutely do. I actually have a voice. Hey, thank you for asking. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Rita. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in, ladies. Good to see you all. Last time I saw you when I was scoping, I was like, hi, everybody. Hi, Ro from Delaware. Hey, how's it going, Sparkle? Yes, I am feeling better. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you that my hair looks great. Thank you. I was like, you guys can't really see how good it looks, and for real, for real. Maybe if I come back some, it is so moist. You sound much better. I feel so much better. Hey, Patricia. Last time I saw you, yes, I know I sound horribly. Hey, Mary from Mount Vernon. Good to see you on the scope. Hi, Brittany. Thank you for tuning in. Hi, Debbie from Oklahoma. Thank you so much for tuning in. My hair looks good. Thank you, Rita. And I'm glad to be back. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so I am a little late, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. My mouth is so dry, I need to drink some water. Hello, Melissa. Hello. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and introduce myself, and then we'll go ahead and get started into the scope. And so for those of you who are new, my name is Abena Palmore. I'm a licensed cosmetologist. I'm a natural hairstylist in the Bronx, New York, where I work in a salon called the Gifted Hair Clinic. And I'm in the salon 5 days a week, everyone, from Tuesdays through Saturdays. And to see me in the salon is by appointment only. And to make an appointment with me, you go online to styleseat.com/Abena Palmore. Abena Palmore is spelled ABENA PALMORE. And if you're not able to come into the salon, you're always able to find me on various social media platforms. You can find me on YouTube. My YouTube channel is called Embrace Natural Beauty. And there I share simple tips and techniques that have been helpful to me in my own natural hair journey, which has been 4.5 years, that have helped me to maintain my hair, to keep it in good condition, and to retain length, because that was always my goal. And I want all of you who are watching and who are following me to better maintain your hair, to keep it in good condition, and to retain length, if that's your goal, so that you too enjoy your hair and that you embrace natural beauty of your own. And so that's my YouTube channel, Embrace Natural Beauty. You can also find me on Facebook at Embrace Natural Beauty, on Instagram at Embrace Natural Beauty _. That's my new name now. And on Twitter and Periscope at Embrace In for Natural Beauty. Embrace In Beauty on Twitter and Periscope. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in tonight. And I want to say that for those of you who are new, I have sometimes uploaded these recordings of the live broadcast to my YouTube channel as a replay to show those who are watching on YouTube what we shared here tonight. And so if this video is able to save to my phone, which is the device that I'm using to record tonight or to broadcast tonight, then I want those who are watching on YouTube to understand that this broadcast is for the individuals who are with me this evening. And so the broadcast, the replay on YouTube essentially is a replay of a broadcast. It's not a recorded video for YouTube. If you are interested in the topic for YouTube, just let me know and I will make a separate video specifically for YouTube. But this, if it does make it to YouTube, is a replay of a live broadcast with people I am talking to, my audience. So thank you all for tuning in, and you all know what the conversation or the topic is for tonight. And I know you all see the flagrant individuals who have tuned in. I'm completely ignoring them, but you, my friends, are welcome to block them. I want to have a discussion with you, and I've already, blocked them out of my mind. And so we're going to have our discussion irregardless of them being here. Eventually they disappear because we don't give them any attention. But if you're able to, please go ahead, Thank you so much. Alicia, thank you for blocking them on my behalf. Um, oh, I hope you don't get disconnected anymore. So what I want to do, even though this is for you all, it's not necessarily for later on, I want to try and give you the information in one block, and then what we can do is go on with the discussion. So I'm going to go over the points. I shared with you there are 3 factors, and there are 3 things that you're doing that are keeping you from seeing the length that you want for your hair. So either it's at a certain length and you're looking for it to be longer, or you feel like it's just not long and you've always wanted long hair. So there are 3 things, right? So there are 3 factors that essentially have no impact from your hair routine or your regimen. There are 3 factors that are completely out of your control. And so the first of all is genetics. And now with genetics, your genetics have predetermined what your growth rate will be, meaning that your hair is going to grow either 1/4 inch per month, 1/2 inch per month, or God, whatever, maybe 3/4 of an inch a month or whatever. But that's already predetermined by your genetic makeup. And then that also, your genetic makeup determines your hair's thickness, how thick the hair strand is, whether fine, medium, or coarse, which is the thickest of the hair strands. It determines the density, meaning how many hairs grow, out of the follicle. So you have a certain number of follicles on your scalp, and you may have 2 hairs growing out of a follicle, you may have 3 hairs growing out of a follicle, or you may have more follicles in proximity. So you have some that are more sparse and some that are more closer together, so you get more hairs that way. So your density is also already predetermined. And then finally, yes, of all things, the length of your hair is already predetermined, meaning that the longest your hair will grow before it reaches the stage where it's going to now stop growing, the growing phase stops for that hair strand, and then it pops off and it goes into a resting period before the new hair comes in. That's already predetermined by your genetics. Okay, so your hair regimen is not going to change that. So I'm sharing that with you because I don't want people to be frustrated that they seem to be doing everything right and their hair looks and feels healthy, but they're not experiencing a length that they thought that they should have. And some people, amazingly enough, remember when they were younger that their hair was like down their back. And what I want you to understand is if your hair was down your back when you were a little girl, you still need to take into account what the length was. Because if the length was 10 inches when you were a little girl, but it was all the way down your back, it looked long to you, but it was still 10 inches. And so you may have reached your longest length when you hit 10 inches, the longest length that you were when you were a little girl. So I just want you to bear that in mind. And then also, okay, so that was genetics. That's one factor. That was just one of the 3 factors. So the next factor is aging. We're all going to go through an aging process. As we get older, things in our body change, including our growth rate and even the length that it grows to. So as we get older, our hair gets thinner, our follicles change, so our hair gets thinner, and instead of growing for like the full growth length of say 5 years, it may grow only over the course of 4 years and then go into the resting period for a longer period of time before it starts growing again. So you're having more slow growth. Even though your hair is still growing, it's growing slower. And because the follicle has changed, it's growing thinner. So you're not experiencing the same thickness, the same fullness that you used to when you were younger. So that's aging. And then more specifically, the third factor with aging that also comes with aging is menopause. We're all going to go through menopause, and during menopause there's also a change in your growth, your hair growth cycle. Okay, so those are 3 factors that, doing a wonderful, wonderful job of taking good care of your hair is not going to change. So I don't want you all to be frustrated, if you're not seeing the thickness or the length that you used to see when you were younger, because it is a part of, the aging process, okay? So those are those 3 factors. Yay, I got through that. Give me a hand, pat on the back, all that good stuff. Thank you for the hearts. You guys are great. You guys are great. So then the other thing, thank you. Oh, let me take some water. I'm losing my voice again. The reason why I'm feeling so much better is I'm taking Claritin D. So I know a lot of people have, oh, thank you. I know a lot of people have allergies too, and they're taking Claritin D, and what it does is it makes you feel so dry because it dries up all that, that mucus. So I was actually a mess up until Friday, really. So here I am going to go into the 3 things that you are doing. Now, here's where you can make some changes. So first, let me talk about this. So you're eating your diet and your exercise. You're eating your diet and your exercise. So you have, the way that you're eating, like, the times a day that you're eating, or you eating, sporadically, or you eating, snacks in between, or whatever it may be. How you're eating, your diet, the food choices that you're eating, consuming, whether or not those foods are getting to you all the nutrients that you need in order to supply your body, that's going to now feed your hair follicles, that's going to help with the growth of your hair so that you have optimal hair. That's going to, and then also exercise, which helps your blood flow. Blood flow is very important, which helps your blood flow get to where it needs to be so your hair can grow optimally, grow strong. And as it gets longer, it can withstand a lot of the styling that we put it through so that it remains all the way up until the point where it is meant to shed before the new hair comes in according to your growth cycle. So your eating, your diet, and your exercise, and I'll add it, I talked about this before, your resting your body plays a role in how, your hair, how well your hair performs to reaching its longest length according to your genetics. And so that's the first thing that you're doing. The second thing is maintenance. And so with maintenance, you have your cleansing, your conditioning, I'm going to have to look at my notes, that's what I'm doing. Your cleansing, your conditioning, your detangling, and your trimming. Yes, all of those are part of your maintenance. So now let's say you're eating well, you're exercising, your diet is good, but then when you get to your maintenance, you're not cleansing and conditioning your hair well, or you're not detangling your hair well, meaning you're getting all those shed and those loose hairs that are being trapped in your hair. If you're not removing them, they tend to cause more tangles. They can tend to cause like single strand knots. And what happens with those is that you have to detangle them, you have to get rid of them, and they cause more breakage. So if you're not properly cleansing, conditioning, and detangling, then you're going to experience some breakage. And then also, if you are not trimming your hair, let me take a little bit of time with the trimming, this specifically. I know that there are vloggers, that are on YouTube who have beautiful long hair, and I've actually seen, some of them say they do not trim their hair, that you do not need to trim your hair. If you're trimming your hair, you're cutting off your length. I trim my hair every 3 to 4 months. I'm not losing length because I'm trimming my hair. I'm trimming my hair in order to maintain my hair to keep it in optimal condition. So if you have, let me stop. If you see someone who has hair that's really long and they say they never trim their hair and they don't have issues with tangles and knots and all that good stuff, remember, there's a genetic factor. Remember, there are exceptions. Remember, there are anomalies. There are extremes. You have people who can do any and everything wrong with regards to maintenance, but still experience considerable length because of their genetics. They very well may have hair that has all the ingredients that it needs to be strong enough to withstand all of the things that they do that are not going to be helpful for their hair, but their hair is so strong it can withstand whatever level of abuse it goes through, or wear and tear that it goes through. Whereas someone else who does everything right may not experience that level of growth because their hair is not as strong. So even if their hair was meant to grow very long, if it's not strong, it cannot withstand the same level of abuse or wear and tear that that other person may experience. So when I say, it's good for maintenance for you to trim your hair, I want you to take into consideration, if you're going to a professional who is monitoring, your length and can see what your growth rate is looking like, they should not be trimming more than what your hair is growing. But if you come to them and you have like a year's worth of trimming that needed to be done, that's where your setback is going to be. So once you get to a point where your hair is trimmed to where it needs to be, then you start to count that phase of regular trimming, and you can start to see the growth that you were meant to experience based on your hair. So your trimming schedule should not be based on my schedule, it should not be based on anyone else's schedule but yours. But I encourage you to go to a professional who is well versed and understands how to trim your hair systematically without over trimming it and without under trimming it as well, because that could be a disservice to you. So that was the maintenance part. The third part, I'm going to get to you guys in a moment. I just want to get through all my points. The third part is styling. So styling is something that we do that's going to impact how long, we see our hair grow. So if we're using tools, if we're using techniques, if we're using products, and if we're choosing styles that are going to be more wear and tear on our hair, then that's going to impact, the hair, the strength of the hair toward the end, and whether you're experiencing breakage so you don't actually see the length that you were meant to see. So good for me. I got through all the points. And now I can take, your questions. And I just want to let you guys know, I'm used to being on this side of the camera, but I had the opportunity to be on the other side of the camera, and I was so frustrated when I saw someone who was answering, giving a good response, but then stopped to read the comments and then got lost and didn't finish. And I'm like, no, finish the point, finish the point. So what I'm going to do, I'm really going to stay on point here. I'm going to take a question and I'm going to answer it until I complete it before I take another one, because I want to respect, whoever has asked a question so that they can get their full answer. And for those of you who are listening who may very well be interested in the answer, that you too can receive the answer. So how about that, ladies? So we're going to do that tonight, okay? So I've gotten to my presentation. Thank you, Rita. So what are your questions, if you have any? How often should you trim during the TWA phase? Okay, so again, this has to do with your growth rate and the condition of your hair, right? So if you're starting off and your hair is in really good condition and you go to your stylist and they tell you, first of all, hopefully you went to a stylist for your big chop, but if you didn't, you go to your stylist and they tell you need to be trimmed to this point. You get trimmed to that point, and they should let you know the next time you come in, whether it should be 8 weeks or 12 weeks, they should let you know. And then as you continue to grow your hair and they get to see the growth rate, they can determine if they need to cut back some or if they need to, come in a little bit more. But it should really be based on your hair's growth rate and the condition of your hair. I wish I can get rid of this thing right here. Stop thinking so hard. Should you trim as needed? I like to trim systematically. And you know why? We have like 100,000, 200,000, some people 500,000 hairs in our head. So if you can tell when each hair needs to be trimmed, that's amazing. Otherwise, it's just better to go ahead and trim those hairs, systematically, like I said, based on your growth rate and the condition of your hair. And rather than waiting until your hair is really, really raggedy and causing lots and lots of tangles and single strand knots, it's better, in my opinion, to go ahead and get them onto a schedule so you don't experience a lot of split ends and a lot of tangles unnecessarily. Okay, cool. Hey, Cree. Thank you for inviting your followers, and thank you for tuning in, girl. And I know I owe you. I know you said you sent me DM, and I'm going to get to you. I have to get past tonight. Tomorrow is my one day off, and so I try to respond to things when I get backed up on Monday, because so some of you who may not know, I'm also in a course. I'm in a trichology program that's going to be a full year. So I'm also, when I'm not in the salon, I'm working on that as well. Cool, girl. Good to see that. So how can I tell if I have split ends? I have found a few, and I'm not sure if it's all over my hair. So again, we have like somewhere about 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 hairs on our heads, depending on how your density is. And if you want to take the time to see every single split end, I think that that's an arduous task. I wouldn't even wish it on anyone. And so what I tend to do is, your hair is going to get worn out, depending on your styling, what your level of, like there's low maintenance styling, and then there's like heavy duty styling. You're styling your hair like every other day or something like that. So the more you're handling your hair, trust me, you're going to experience some level of roughing on the ends as it gets older. So eventually you're going to need to start trimming your ends. So if you're, instead of waiting to see, how many split ends and where the split ends are, once you start to see the bushiness of your ends, you're doing your twist outs, they're not getting that nice curl anymore, or you're doing your wash and go and they're really fuzzy on the ends, your ends will look different from the rest of your hair, and that will be the indication that it's time to start cutting. So you don't have to look with a magnifying glass to see that you have split ends, when you can see clearly that the ends of your hair look rough and it's time to get a trim. And trims don't have to be a lot. Yeah, weathered. Trims don't have to be a lot of hair. Once you get into a systematic, regimen of getting your hair trimmed, whether it's going to be every 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and so forth, you will have to only trim like maybe a 1/4 inch. I've always gotten like a 1/4 inch trimmed when I got it trimmed every 3 to 4 months. And I've seen my growth. So if you're waiting extremely long and then you go to the stylist and they cut off 2 inches, you're traumatized and you feel like you don't want to go back. But if you're doing it incrementally, it should be very small amounts, just to keep your ends from being so frayed. Dusting, again, you're doing little bits here and there. You're not systematically just cutting those ends. Your hair is going to get weathered. Some people believe in dusting. I'm not in favor of dusting. I'm just in favor of going ahead and getting those ends clean, so that the hairs that are next to each other are all kind of lined up and they work together, rather than you having all these little frayed pieces that cause, when you get your little curls at the end, that cause little, bushes. You want clean ends. You want your hair to be, your curls to be nicely defined. So if you have all these little pieces, it's going to look, it's going to look a little messy, a little bushy. You want more definition. So clean cuts are much better for styling and for the health of your hair. And how do you feel confident after a big chop? You want to be completely psychologically ready to do a big chop. And I personally, as a stylist, I don't want to cut anyone's hair if they're like wishy-washy. I had a client this week who came in and she's like, girl, cut it off, I'm ready. And she was ready. She was so ready, and it was the best experience for me to witness her. And then her husband came in to pick her up, and he's like, baby, you cut your hair, it's so beautiful, I love it. He said, I love you so much, I want to marry you all over again, your hair is so beautiful, you look adorable, all that stuff. And I was just like, this is the best big chop I've ever done. There was no trepidation. She was ready. She had already visualized herself with her hair, and when the relaxed ends came off, she was like, whoo, that's me. And so that's the time to do your big chop, when you're not concerned about, oh my gosh, how am I going to look, when you just feel like, I'm going to look the bomb because my hair is going to be full, it's not going to be flat, and I'm looking forward to it. That's the best time to do the big chop. Hey, Vet from Texas, should you trim curly or straight? Okay, so I can do either. I can trim your hair straight or I can trim it curly. What I like to do is a number of things based on how you plan to style your hair after the service. If you want to wear your hair, some people want to wear their hair in a silk press, so I'll go ahead and do the silk press. I'll do the flat iron and then I will trim. If they're planning to wear their hair curly and they don't even want any type of heat styling, they don't plan to wear their hair straight, then I'll go ahead and cut it, on their natural curl. So it all depends on you. Some people just don't like heat styling at all. So I always cut those people in their naturally curly state. So it really is up to you, the type of styles that you like to do, and with you and the stylist, particularly what you plan to wear that day when you leave the salon. Thanks for answering the question. It's hey, Kespa. And I've been rocking Wash and Goes. Cool, great, good to hear. Kespa is one of my clients. So thank you for tuning in, girl. All right, so what's the next question? What good products for dry hair or for 4C hair? Okay. So what I share with my clients is a couple of things. When I'm styling your hair, it's not about your hair, your curl pattern. It's not about your hair texture. It's about getting moisture to your hair. That's key for me, getting moisture to your hair and then using a styling product that's in line with the type of style that you want to do. So if you wanted to wear your hair in a wash and go, I'm going to first put on a moisturizer or leave-in and moisturizer combination that your hair likes, and then I'm most likely, depending on your curl pattern, going to style with a gel if your curls are tight like mine, and some of you may say that's not that tight, but in comparison to some people who have a very loose curl that's almost like wavy, I would put a gel. Like I always put gel in my hair. I don't even like my hair without gel. So for those who have a curl type where it's very loose, if you put gel on their hair, it makes it too flat, it makes it almost too straight, it weighs it down too much, so they don't like the gel for that reason. And so in order to get them a nice defined curl or nice fluffy curl that they want for their wash and go, I would not use a gel, I would just use a butter. And then there are some people who they want a wash and go, but they don't want a gel, so they don't want the super defined wash and go because the gel is going to give a tighter curl pattern, a more defined wash and go. So then other than a wash and go, once you have your moisturizer, the styling tool would be something good for twisting or something good for a rod set. Like for my rod sets, and you guys can see this on my Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, that I always list what I put, and I put it in the order of product application. So I always put a moisturizer first. So if I'm using a leave-in conditioner, I still tend to use something that's going to give it that added moisture, because a lot of these lines don't have, or a lot of these lines have leave-in conditioners that they want you to use with a styling product. So if I'm using Camille Rose, or if I'm using True by Made Beautiful, or if I'm using Hydrotherma Naturals, then I'm using like 2 combination moisturizers. If I'm using Wonder Curl, it's usually, the Butter and Love Pudding, because that's a moisturizer. And so I'll use the moisturizer first, and then the styling agent. So if it's a rod, I'm using like the Twist and Set by Design Essentials. That seems to be a staple for me in the salon, because that's going to give the hair the hold around that rod that I want it to get. But the first thing is always moisture. So whether your hair is 4C or 3C or 4A, whatever it is, when I'm doing a rod set, I'm still going to give you a moisturizer, and that's not dependent on your hair texture, or that's not dependent on your curl type. It's dependent on that moisturizer blending with your hair. So when I put it on, if there's any film, or if it's flaky or something like that, it's coming off. And I tend to not put something on that's going to do that. But I may compare side by side 2 moisturizers and see which one I like the way your hair is moisturizing with better, and then that's the one I'm going to stick with throughout the entire application. And then again, I'm going to finish with a styler for the type of style that I'm doing. So my styling choices or product choices are based on the technique or based on the finished style, not necessarily what the hair is, with the exception of a wash and go, because the wash and go is determinant on your curl type. That's the only thing that's really determinant on your curl type. Other than that, it's making sure you have a moisturizer and a styler. So what do you think about the Cantu line? For those of you who've been following me for a while, I share with you the products that I use on my Instagram, my Facebook, and Twitter. And I also shared all the the products that I've done reviews on. So if I haven't done a review on it, I have not used it. And Cantu is one of those products that I haven't used. So I don't have a review, and I really don't have, you know, a thought about it because I don't use it. So Yvette from Texas, can all hair types rock a wash and go? And is there a correct order to wash and go? In my humble opinion, any and everyone can wash their hair, put some product on it, and go. A wash and go is your natural hair without it being manipulated by twists, two-strand twists, single-strand twists, rods, rollers, or anything. It's your natural hair. So some people want, you know, defined wash and goes. Some people want it froed. I did a wash and go on a client a couple weeks ago, and I put her photos up this week. I put her photos up this week. And when I did her wash and go, it was nice and curly, and she wanted the shape to be in a fro. So she just wanted a curly fro. Some people don't want a lot of definition. They just want it to be froed. So that's a wash and go. You don't have to go through and pull through and making sure that you're getting all these curls popping. You just have to make sure the hair is nicely moisturized for them. It's really your preference. Really, really, truly your preference. But the thing is, I want you to understand that a wash and go is not determined by any specific hair type. A wash and go is essentially your natural curl pattern. However you want to wear it, well defined, but make sure it's well moisturized so it's not dry. But that's a wash and go. There's no right or wrong wash and go. They're just well defined or really curly defined wash and goes, and they're different curl patterns. I can really check my hair growth progress when my hair is in its stretched state. Yes, you can. Stretching a wash and go. So stretching a wash and go, I think I showed you guys, and I haven't been doing it lately. This is not stretched. I did not stretch my hair with this wash and go. But the way that I stretch my wash and goes is I usually on wash day will put it up in a tight bun. Let me see. I'll put it up in a tight bun. I'm not going to squeeze it all right now because my hair is dry and I'm not trying to break my hair. But I'll put it in a tight bun, spin it around, get it really tight, and then put scarves on and then, you know, sleep overnight, and that will stretch my hair because my hair is still kind of moist, but it's not wet. It's still dry, but it still has a lot more moisture than it would like today, which is day 6 of my wash, you know. So that's how I stretch my wash and go. Other people may stretch it different ways. You could probably stretch it doing this. You could do like I forgot what this is called, like a French roll, and that will stretch your hair, but it won't take the definition of your curls out. As long as you have your hair, you know, going in a direction where it's turning and you're not putting a dent in it, you'll be fine. You won't lose your definition. Some people get a stretch when they put it up in the pineapple too. I hope that answered your question, my dear. Got me in here messing up my hair. Everyone was giving me compliments before. Now I don't know. I just messed up my hair. So would it be good to trim every 6 months if I'm doing protective styles and moisturizing and sealing? What I would suggest is that if you wait for 6 months and you go to a professional and they show you how much hair needs to come off, and if they let you know that you've got, you know, this much needs to come off, then that will let you know that 6 months was too long. If you go to them in 6 months and they say only this much needs to come off, then you're pretty much fine. So that will be your determinant, how much needs to come off after a 6 month point. Because if you have a lot that needs to come off, most likely you're not going to want to take it off. That's a real thing. I know I certainly wouldn't want to take off. That was looking like an inch and a half. I wouldn't want to take off an inch and a half of my hair. Hi, Rochelle from Texas. What is your opinion on taking hair vitamins? I'm glad you asked that question. Because I really wanted to talk about that too. The health of your health and how you want to go about entering into any type of diet. Because I personally have just changed my diet, and I wanted to say to you guys, be on a good diet, but if you do choose to go on a diet, check in with your doctor first. So I'm bad. I know I started my diet. I didn't check with my doctor. I went on the advice of, some other people who I felt like are authorities and so forth. But truthfully, it is my body, and I need to make sure I'm responsible for taking care of it. And so the best thing to do if you're changing your diet or you're taking supplements outside of like your daily adult vitamins, it's a good idea to see your doctor. Have them do your blood tests and determine, let you know where your levels are. Because if you start taking a hair vitamin that has high levels of, like, say, niacin or some specific mineral or nutrient that is above what you need, it could throw your body into an imbalance where now you're experiencing an adverse effect in another area of your body. So where you're trying to get this longer hair or stronger hair, something else is going wrong with you. So you don't want to go through that. I always advise my clients or anyone who ever asks me, including you, to make sure you check with your doctor and before you enter into any type of diet situation or taking supplements other than your daily vitamins. So how can I tell if I have high or low porosity hair? All right, so with high porosity and low porosity, there are a number of things that I like to do to test the porosity. And sometimes it's harder to see if you're not able to put your eye on the hair like I am in the salon. I can actually see, like when I'm washing someone's hair, there are individuals who have high density hair that when I put the shampoo on and I start to wash, I have to move layer per layer per layer per layer per layer per layer just to get the shampoo to pass through the hair because it's not getting through. Those tend to be indicators of low porosity hair. And so when you are able to apply product over a good portion of hair and it gets through because hair is generally porous, then you have most likely normal porosity hair. So that's your first indicator where your porosities are. But then as you're starting to style, you start to see more things. Like, say, for example, now you've got you clean the hair and you're starting to style, and you as you're going through sections, you notice there's a portion that's extremely dry where it was wet and it was holding moisture in before, or it seemed like it was holding. It got the moisture in, let's put it that way. You didn't struggle getting the moisture in, but now it's completely dry. That tends to be an indication that it's highly porous. So seeing how it goes in and seeing how it comes out. And then another indicator is when you're drying your hair. When you have people who have to sit under the dryer, and someone told me that they were going to be on tonight, and I'm hoping she's on. So I'm not going to call you out unless you're on. When you have to put your client under the dryer for like 2.5 hours, they're low porosity. So if you ever have to sit, hey, yes, that's her. Her hair never dries. So yeah, if you're under the dryer for like 2.5 hours, that's low porosity hair. Yeah, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. So high porosity hair dries really, really quickly. Really, really quickly. So hi, Addie from California. Should I let damaged permed ends break off or cut them off? So if you're transitioning and you are planning to go natural, here's a couple of things that are happening. I like to tell people it really is up to your lifestyle. So if you can rock a short natural and it's not going to impact anything for you, then I always recommend doing that. But some people feel like they have to have their hair pulled back in a ponytail or pulled away from their face, and if it's short, they can't pull it down like that for their job or whatever it is. So I understand, what people are trying to do for their lifestyle. I never tell someone they have to do the big chop, but I want you to understand what's happening. If you're experiencing a lot of breakage, as your new growth is coming in, you're going to have more brokenness. So when you finally do cut it off, you're going to have to cut your natural hair even shorter because you held on to that relaxed hair longer, for whatever reason you held on to it. So just be aware of that, the impact of the decisions that you're making. But as long as the hair is hanging in there for your purposes, then you do it in the time frame that you need for it to be done. But it will eventually, if it's really damaged, it is going to break off. And if it looks really, unflattering, you may just be better just going ahead and taking it off, and you feel much better putting a wig on or doing some type of protective style so that you can have, a more favorable, pleasant look for you than just, having the TWA if you're not ready to do that. How's the course going? Thank you, Rita C. Oh. See, that makes me feel like you're here to talk to me because you want to talk to me. That's such a good feeling. Thank you, Rita. The course is absolutely wonderful. I love, 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 love learning, especially about hair, especially about how to care for hair. So I am truly, truly grateful for, the exposure that I'm receiving. I'm glad I got into the program. I'm glad that I'm reading the material that I'm reading and learning what I'm learning. And I have some people, including Nina, who's on here tonight, who are participating with me and volunteering with me with some of the things that I need to do. As I have volunteers who working or in stay to be like my patients essentially. So there's a lot that that is in store for me, and so I can't readily explain everything, all that I'm doing, but I am so very excited, and I'm so grateful that you guys are sharing this experience with me, and I look forward to being able to share some things in the near future. But for right now, it's just it's just a lot. It's exciting, and I want to share it with you, and I just can't wait. Let's just put it that way. I hope I said that well. But it's truly exciting. Thank you for asking. Will you be traveling anywhere soon to do hair? Thank you, Rita. Will I be traveling anywhere soon to do hair? I don't have anything immediately, but I do know I will be traveling back to Atlanta. I had shared, there's a lady on here, I'm not sure if she's on the Scope tonight. She'd asked me about coming to, I think it was South Carolina. And I said, South Carolina is not that far from Atlanta. Sorry, I can't leave the Bronx. But yeah, so Atlanta is going to be the place that I'm going to be traveling to next. Oh, she is on here. Charlotte. Yeah, I think it was Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay, cool. So yes, you did. I would love for you to Memphis to do my hair. I didn't say I was coming to Memphis, Patricia. I said I was going to Atlanta, and so I could probably reach the areas near Atlanta. You guys are so cute. Yes, you can expect to see added length when you're transitioning. And the reason why is whatever is going on the other end of your hair, if you're experiencing breakage or damage, your hair is always growing up until the time where you are no longer even living, your hair is still growing. So growth doesn't stop just because of what you're doing over here. It's just that you won't see much length. So if you're transitioning, you're going to be seeing your new growth the same rate that it's going to grow when you're natural. The only difference is you are going to have to lose some of that natural hair that's attached to the relaxed hair where the line of demarcation is, because those ends will be rough. So they need, when they do the big chop, they need to cut above, where that line of demarcation is, so that you have fresh ends, not just natural ends, but fresh ends. So what about brushing for stimulation? How often should I do this? And do you even recommend this? I actually don't do brushing for stimulation. I've heard people mention that they do it. I don't subscribe to that. I know that the idea is stimulating, your follicles. I don't see the practical. I don't see the practicality of doing that, because what you really need to get to, yeah, I know massaging the scalp, in addition to that, what you really need to get to is so deep down in there that impacting, your hair bulb is essentially what you need to do to stimulate the growth. When that bulb is impacted, that's where the stimulation happens. So it's getting the blood to, your follicle. That's what stimulates growth, not necessarily doing this. It's actually, getting to that follicle. And so one of the things that I think, one of the things that's really gonna help to stimulate is having some type of essential oil or herb but you cannot put an essential oil into your scalp. You can't put it on your scalp. You can't put it on your hair. It has to be in a carrier oil. So essential oils they're potent, and they're small enough that they can get into, you know, your skin. You don't want to put them there. It's too potent. So I just do not see practically how you can do that. I'm just not really, you know, a believer of it. I hope that made sense, because I know that some people really believe in it. So aloha, I'm thinking of getting braids. Any tips? Yeah, go to a braider who actually cares about the health of your hair, not someone who's going to braid because they're fast, but someone who's going to braid your hair in a way that's not going to be too tight, and not going to braid with material that's going to be too heavy for the portion of your hair that they're putting it on, that is really considerate of the best, the optimal way to install any braids or any additional hair, if you're getting it, to your hair, so it's not going to pull it out, weigh it down, or anything like that. Do you know any good natural hairstylists in Houston? No, I don't, but I got this question a couple of times. I do know a vlogger that I follow in Texas that I like very much. Her name is Tia Jonay. It's spelled Tiajonay. Tia Jonay. She's on YouTube, she's on Instagram, and she's on Facebook. She lives in Texas, and so she can tell you the stylist that she goes to, that she would recommend. That's the best way that I can tell you for that particular location. And I need to drink some water. Someone just gave you an answer. Tendrils and curls. Abena, I take quercetin, a natural herb for alleviating allergies. All right, girl, put that in my... No, let me stop. We'll talk about that. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, cool. I'm glad you saw it. Good. And we're such a community in here, everyone helping each other. Thank you, ladies. Cool. So she said eclectic binds in each town. So how did you learn so much about natural hair care? Can you recommend any books or courses? There is a book that Rita references quite often. It's called The Science of Black Hair. That's a book that I read before I did my big chop. That was when I was transitioning. I was looking, I said, you know, before I do this, I want to really understand the architecture, or I want to understand something I said about my hair. I wanted to understand it at that level. And it was like the Lord just opened up the doors of heaven and dropped down this book. And I was like, this is perfect. There you go. So Rita just put up the title. It's called The Science of Black Hair. It's written by Audrey Davis Savasthi. And it's in hardcover and it's in paperback. And I have both. The hardcover color and the paperback black and white. So I can write in the black and white and look at the color version. It's an excellent book. Oh, you do too? It covers a lot. There's still more to be uncovered, but it really truly does cover a lot. So it's a good starting point. So what do you think about the baggy method? Hey, Lynn, the baggy method, for me, it sounds like your hair is in a lot of moisture for a long period of time. And while I know it is our goal to get moisture in, I believe that the cuticle layer, it closes at a certain point for a reason. And so I feel like, thank you, Patricia, I feel like when you do something to your hair that takes it out of what it was meant to be done, I think it could have some adverse effects. So I don't actually promote the baggy method. I don't promote putting conditioner on your hair and putting a processing cap on and keeping that on overnight, which I believe is essentially the baggy method. I don't believe in the greenhouse effect. I don't believe that that is a good way to go to moisturizing your hair. I think your hair was meant to be moisturized, during the process, and then left alone to close and to have that moisture retention and to be closed and to be dry. It's not meant to be wet for long periods of time. I don't think that that's a good idea to go, or a good way to go with your hair. Thank you for telling me my hair looked great. So what is a good regimen for fine, I guess, low porosity hair? Any tips for growing edges from alopecia? Oh, wow, you asked me two different things. So growing hair from alopecia. Alopecia, it really depends on whether or not you have scar tissue, whether or not you can grow that hair back. And so if you have active follicles, if you don't have any scar tissue, and you are leaving your edges alone, wearing styles where you're not putting any pressure, any tension, or pulling of any kind on those edges, and just actually, this is where I do agree with the spot treatment of using the Jamaican black castor oil. Thank you, Rita. When you do spot treatment, so I'm not saying you're doing this massaging all over your entire head of the Jamaican black castor oil, but when you have areas where your follicles, where you have loss of hair like the alopecia, where you have the thinning, and people have systematically put the Jamaican black castor oil on, I always recommend after a clean wash of your hair. So you have freshly cleaned follicles that are not clogged by dust and dirt. You've fully cleaned them now. Now you put the Jamaican black castor oil on, you massage it into those areas. People have seen where the follicles have been strengthened, and then they're able to experience the hair growing back in there. And so now for moisturizing low porosity hair and it's fine, it would still be pretty much employing the techniques that I mentioned, in the video, moisturizing low porosity hair, that I have on my YouTube channel. I have an extended version and I have a short version that gives you the tips really short. So I would do all of those things. I would do the squeezing the hair when you're wetting it, so that you're actually getting that water to penetrate the hair more so. I would do, if necessary, I would do, heating up the moisturizer like I showed you guys, but not putting it directly into the microwave. And then making sure when you apply product, you would definitely apply the product in small sections and make sure that you're seeing that it's getting in. Here's another thing that we talked about here on the Scope, and I did it this week, which is another reason why my hair looks so moist. And I'm trying to edit, the video together. I just haven't had time, and I know you guys are probably through with me saying I don't have time, but I want to get this to you. This week, I finally did something that we talked about here in the Scope. After I did my deep condition with, my processing cap, and I sat under my steam cap, I came back, I rinsed it off, rinsed all the deep conditioner off, and I applied my moisturizer, put my processing cap on, and went back under my steam cap for 15 minutes, and I let the moisturizer seep into my hair the way that the deep conditioner does. And then I went and I put my gel on. And so this was the first time I got definition in this section of my hair, where for the first 2 to 3 inches it doesn't define. I finally got some level of definition, and I recorded it so I could show you guys. So that's another way that you can get moisture in to that portion of your hair. For those of you who also have asked me, when you have puffy roots, how can I get that defined? I would suggest giving that a try. Try that for yourself, see how you like it, and see how it works. Hey, Abana, Shay here. Sorry I'm late. No, Shay, you can't come in late. She's not allowed. You have to get out, Shay. No, hey, girl. Good to see you. Glad you were able to tune in. Oh, thank you, Patricia. Thank you. Steam the moisturizer. That's what I did. I just like you do a deep condition. So I have to admit, my hair has started to thrive since replacing weekly clay washing with Shampoo. She said shampoo. Yay. Yeah, I'm so glad, Rita. Thank you. I'm so glad you did it. And I'm so glad you're making some progress. Thank you for letting me know. I'm so glad that you did that. Yay. This is a great night. Loving it. Yes, the shampoo. So that's how I use the baggie because I don't have a dryer. Cool. Albeit sulfate free. Oh, that's okay. You made an adjustment. That's okay. Now, I'm going to talk to you all about, shampooing with conditioner. No, shampooing with sulfate and non-sulfate. You used mine. You used what? The Damage Remedy. Shampoo for the win. So yeah, when I do my steam cap, it's not a hooded dryer, it's a steam cap. And so I put the processing cap on. If I were just using my steamer, I wouldn't put a processing cap. Yeah. I was actually disappointed to find out that it didn't have any sulfates. So I started using a sulfate shampoo. But not this wash. This wash, I actually did a clay. I'm doing different things because I want to talk with you guys about, the difference that I see in my scalp when I use different types of cleansers. So when I use a clarifier, of course, I see the cleanest scalp. When I use a sulfate-free shampoo and when I use a clay, I still see something on my scalp. So I'm systematically going through different cleansers so that I can, talk to you about, what it looks like on the scalp from the microscopic level that you all can't see unless you have that type of tool. So this has been an excellent scope, but I have to leave. Thanks, Vanna. No problem. Thank you, Michelle, for tuning in. It was good to see you. So what about the capsules for the hair? So it's something specifically for the hair that you are going to ingest. Again, I would just recommend running it by your doctor first to make sure it's the best thing for you, for what your condition is, to make sure that your body needs whatever it is additional that you're going to be putting in. That's what I always recommend. Great scope tonight. Thanks as always. Is it time? Oh my gosh, it's 9 o'clock. I didn't even realize how late it was. I've been enjoying this conversation. So ladies, it is 9 o'clock. It is time for us to end the scope. So it was great talking with you all. We're here Sunday evenings, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find me. And if anyone just tuned in, we've been on the scope since 8 o'clock. It's been an hour long. I had no idea. Did not realize it. My name is Abena Palmore. You can find me on YouTube at Embrace Natural Beauty, on Facebook at Embrace Natural Beauty, on Instagram at Embrace Natural Beauty _ and on Twitter and Periscope at Embrace In for Natural Beauty. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you have a great night. It was great talking with you all. Love you all. Hugs and kisses. Take care. Good night, everyone. See you next week, Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great time. Love you too. Love you so very much. And I look forward to seeing you guys. And if you guys have any specific things you want to talk about, always send me, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Let me know what you want to talk about. So take care, everyone. Bye-bye.